Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a first. We have a Frederique Constant on the channel. This is their new HighLife Chrono, and it is a limited edition. I think there's going to be 1,888 pieces. It is available in a couple of other colours. We've got a gold and blue, we've got a white and black, and we've got a white and blue. Now, automatically, I know straight away, few people will be looking at this and going, it's got one of those straps where we won't be able to change it and fit anything else on there. But don't worry, because in the box, they also feature a silicone strap with the quick release hardware and, more importantly, the bracelet as well. So even though you've got a strange, an awkward size for swapping straps out, they've got you covered. Bracelet, silicone, and leather. But anyway, before I get into the review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches. They've been absolute superstars with me. Really, really friendly, really helping the channel out no end. So if you're in the Midlands area, I'd strongly recommend popping into their shop. If you're a little bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description below and at the bottom of the page now. All I ask, if you do contact them, please mention the channel, as it really would help. So anyway, let's talk sizes. I'm reading 40.5 millimeters across. Now the thickness, contrary to what they say on their website, where they say it's 14.22 mil, I'm measuring 14.9 millimeters. So quite a discrepancy there, but hey, you know, most of the watch manufacturers do that. The lug to lug at this point to this point, I think it's 45.5, and the strap is, I think it's 25.6 to blend into the case there. This, I think, is one of those watches where it just looks so classically cool. Let me zoom in on that dial. The dial itself just looks great. They've done a real, even though technically it is just a simple chronograph, how they've done it is beautiful. This kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, a slightly off-white dial just looks really, really nice. I like the way they've printed the globe on it. Looks very kind of Nautilus-like with that, to be fair. Then you have these three subdials. Even the subdials are a little bit strange, how they kind of, it looks like they raise up at the end. You've got a slight shadow at the bottom there, so it looks like it could be, I don't think they are fully flat. I think they do kick up at the end a little bit. Then you've got these applied hour markers. Now, they are heavily polished and you do have lume in the centre of them, as to the hour and minute hand. But to be fair, it's not the strongest of looms. Obviously, there isn't much of it there, so what can you do? You know, it's not really a dive watch. This, I would say, is a sporty, classy looking chronograph. I like this minute track going around the outside there, even though it's raised up a bit. I like the way it raises up and they sink these down a little bit. It gives it a little bit of depth. They've obviously tried to keep, it looks like they've tried to keep this down to a minimum and like thin out the watch as much as they can, but there's only so much you can do with a 7750 based movement, as we know. So overall, really, really happy with it. We've got the date down at a 4:30 position there. With it has also been framed, and I like the way the frame sits into the dial. It quite often you see on many watches they just simply stick a frame around the date window and it stands a little bit proud, where this one doesn't. It does look like it sits flush to the actual dial. Now, being that this is a chronograph, we have the constant running seconds for your timekeeping, and if I press the chrono, it's a real lovely click on there. You'll see why in a minute. Obviously, this is the minute totalizer around here and the hour totalizer for your chrono there. So you're talking, you're going to get a 12-hour chronograph there. Now, as we come past that, well, actually, we'll do a reset before you do, so let's do that. So let's have a go there. Very snappy, as you'd expect, to be fair. Now, the crystal, sapphire, domed, AR, lovely. Not much to say there. The bezel itself is a beautifully polished bezel. The casework is polished along the, here we go, let's get in there, polished along the sides and brushed on top. Now it gets a bit more interesting here because you have brushed on top and then you have this kind of indent here. it kind of lightens a case. If this would have gone straight across, it somehow wouldn't have felt the same. Also, it means they can blend into the end link there a lot better. On this side, we have these, there we go, we have these nice big chunky pushers and a signed crown. The crown itself isn't a screwed down crown, but it does feature 100 meters of water resistance, so that is straight into hand wind air. A little bit awkward to purchase, to be fair. It's not the easiest crown to purchase when you want to want to hand wind it. It's a little bit smooth, which matches into its kind of elegant style, if that makes sense. Now, as we flip this around, we have this movement on the back there, and what makes it a little bit special, we have a column wheel. Now, what I mean by that is, let's try and zoom in a bit there. This bit here is a column wheel. So if I press the chrono, you can see the hammer pressing down onto that column wheel. Now, a column wheel, I should say, is a bit more flashy than what you'd get in a normal kind of chronograph, which will be a cam operated. This one, I think, just looks really good. It makes it feel so much more, it's a more constant feel every time you press it. So yeah, superb. I like the case back here. As you can see, we've got a quick release on the back. The actual movement itself, I put it on the time grapher, and I think it was coming out at +6 seconds, but it was an incredibly constant +6. So it's always a good sign of a movement when you get a very, very clean cut straight line. That might come down with time, or depend on how you actually wear the watch, and it will level out. The movement, they call it, is the Frederique Constant 391, but really that it starts getting varied. You've got an LPJ 1110, which was based on the 7750. Almost every chronograph is, to be fair. That means it's got 60 hours of power reserve and 26 joules there. As I've said, with the strap is a lovely soft kind of, it's almost like a velvet, really. You have a signed crown on there, obviously all marked up. Get that rotor spinning, they do look good, don't they? Now, and as stated, we have a whole host of different straps which come in the box. The silicone with the quick release again, and more importantly, that bracelet. The bracelet, I can imagine, would look great on this watch. I really think it would. Let me put it on my wrist so you got an idea how it looks. Zoom out here, quick wrist check. I'm wearing a chronograph myself. That's the Zin 144 Type 2 anniversary. That hasn't got a column wheel, to be fair. It'd be more expensive if it had. And Bob has got on the new Tissot there. Very nice. Now, I always thought that Frederique Constant was an old brand. It's only when I started looking up, I didn't realise they came out in the late 80s. Their first watches in the early 90s. But they just sound an expensive brand. I don't know why. On my wrist, I've got an 8¼ inch wrist, and it sits beautifully. Sits down nice and low, I think, for a chronograph, and it looks great. I really think it feels a special watch. It really does. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of it in the comments, and most importantly, you stay safe out there. Bye.